Hello everyone and welcome to a rainy day here in Bavaria. Let's talk about the stuff I don't like about the Hyundai Ioniq 38 kWh battery and some quirks. Let's start with the pros because that's always fun. Let's stay positive. So what's really amazing about this car, and I said it in every video so far, it's such a comfortable drive. I love driving this car. It feels comfortable, quiet, you feel in control even on high speeds, cornering, the steering wheel itself, the steering feel while you're steering, I like it a lot. It's really a special experience and extremely comfortable. I'm very surprised for a car in this price category, I can't even say it. I love it. So driving this is just a blast. The instant consumption views. Here when you go in EV, on your percent and then on your range, it tells you the instant consumption for your driving, your climate, your electronics and your battery care. Battery care will be if the battery has to be cooled or heated up. And I love this view. I want to see how much the heat is taking. Right now I have the heat on at 23 degrees, driver only, and it's using 700 watts. And the fans and all the other electronics that's working right now take 500 watt. Sounds a lot, but it's just nice to know. I love that. So if I'm, is the heat doing anything? Nah, it's great. Let's just continue to the climate. I love in the climate that you have driver only. This is an awesome feature. Why would you waste heat to heat up the whole car if there's only one person in the car driving? So it only heats or cools the area where I'm at. So the fan speed goes down, the consumption for heat or AC goes down. Awesome. Also, I love, this is in almost no other car, there's an extra button for heat. Yes, when you have it in automatic and you put it to 23 degrees, it will heat. You set it to auto, but sometimes in other cars you have it at 20 degrees and you don't know, is it colder in the car? Will the car heat or is it already fine? And then you don't want to adjust always the temperature. So let's say you're warm enough, you don't want to go down to 17 or something. Here, just turn off the heat. Done. I like that. The adaptive cruise control, next thing. Awesome! Really. It says stop and go, so it brings you down to a stop if a car is in front of you. So adaptive means there's a radar sensor that can see how far the car is in front of you, how far it is away, and then we'll keep the distance, and you can adjust the distance in 4 steps. Of course, you set a speed, and then it keeps you behind the car even if the car is stopping, and when the car is going on, I think only if you stand for a very long time, a minute or more, I don't know exactly, but otherwise when the car in front of you starts driving, you start driving too. Awesome. And what's even more great, it does it very comfortable. It's not, okay, you're at 80, you put on the cruise control at 100, not being floored. The same in the other direction. It does it very comfortable, and you can see that it tries to be as efficient as possible. So accelerate with 30 or 40% of the power. The efficiency in this car, it's just so efficient driving. I mean, when you look at the consumption numbers that I did with the e-up, and e-up is a small car, and it's also an efficient car, but I was at 110 kilometers an hour. This car was 3 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers less power needed, energy needed. It really is, and it tries to be really as efficient as possible, and it does it very well. Something special that other people maybe don't care about, but the USB in front here is always powered, and I like this to charge my phone, for example. I get off the car, lock the car, and the phone is still charging. Regen, S, Kia, e-Soul, e-Niro, Kona. God, I have spinning wheels. We'll come to that later. As all these cars, the regen adjustment and how it works brilliant. You have your pedal shifters where you can adjust the region, and I don't adjust it too much. It's just I have it always in the strongest, and with the accelerator pedal you can adjust the region very, very well. And if you need, so that region, the strongest region, doesn't bring you to a stop. If you want that, then you hold the left pedal shifter and then it brings you to the stop. So the region system overall is very strong and it feels very good. It's exactly my thing. One pedal driving, no problem in this car. And the last thing that's really amazing in this car is the top speed. 100 kilowatt motor, 38 kilowatt hour battery, and I had a top speed in this car of 181 kilometers an hour. All the other manufacturers, not all, but most of them, slow you down and say, you don't need it and it's more efficient to drive slowly, and it's true. But sometimes you want to drive, and it's good that you can do that with this car. Even though top speed in the limit in the manual says 165. Let's get to the quirks. So some things that are weird and that I wouldn't say I don't like, but First of all, the 12 volt outlet. There are two 12 volt outlets in the front right beside each other. I'm okay with having two, but why are they beside each other? Why is not one here behind this air vent or in the trunk? Would make way more sense. If you use Android Auto or Apple CarPlay, you have this wonderful new screen, the 10-inch screen that all the new Kias and Hyundais have, electric ones. And the right side is for a different view. And when you use, like I said, Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, it only uses the left part, and on the right it just says Android Auto. Why doesn't it still show that extra screen where you can see your battery and I don't know what, and scroll around, and the left can be Android Auto? That would be way more intelligent. The rain sensor with the wipers, when you set it on auto, doesn't work that amazing. With this, I'm not an expert. I never owned a car that has this. Oh, that was a Jaguar I-Pace. That's fun. So what I notice is that sometimes it doesn't wipe even though the glass is full of rain and it's raining, and sometimes it wipes like crazy even though it's not raining that much. And you can adjust the sensitivity, and I do that all the time. But a normal interval sometimes would work way better than this rain sensor. It's not that great. Another thing, I don't know if this is just this car or overall the new Ioniq, but from 35 to around 70 kilometers an hour, you get a weird sound that sounds like an engine sound and simulated sound. I don't know what that is, and it's not too disturbing, but when you hear it the first time, you're like, is still the virtual engine sound system on? And you look at it, no, and I'm driving way too fast because that should only work to under 30 kilometers an hour. Something that was surprising to me is that the trunk door goes up extremely high. In my garage, and I have a normal garage, it hits the ceiling, and it's not the ceiling of the garage, it's where the garage door goes, and it hits that so high, and you can't stop it. So every time I'm in the garage, and I don't think I have a special garage that's too low or something, it's just all the time I'm like, have to be careful. It's touching the no scratches, please. The back window rain, maybe you can see that right now because it's perfect now. So when the window in the back, you don't have wipers, and if there's rain on it and you drive a bit faster, the wind blows them off. It works, but it's a two-part window. There's one that's like this and one that's straight, and the one that's straight the wind doesn't blow it off. So when it's raining and the road is wet, half of the window in the back, you can barely see anything. So your view outside in the back gets very limited. And the last thing that is on the edge of being a negative is the traction. So with 100 kilowatt motor, front wheel drive and torque steer, you still, to get the power down is not always perfect. So when the road is good and you have nice temperature, it's dry, it works, but just a little bit off, just a little bit damp, and you get spinning wheels. And when it's wet like today, it's from a standstill, it's not working. You cannot use more power than 60% or something. You get the whole time. It's very annoying. And it's just how the design is. Hyundai Kona had the same thing. And now let's talk about the things I do not like about this car. Charging schedule. I could not figure out in this car to set, you can set a limit, 80% or down to 50%, but I couldn't figure out for the car that I can say I'm going tomorrow at 6:30 and I want the car to be at 80%. Couldn't do it. I can heat it up so it's warm at 6:30, but you cannot schedule the charging. You can select the time where charging should take place, but it doesn't so if you have maybe at night cheaper rates for your power, but when you plug it in, it will start charging to that 80% or whatever, but not to say, hey, start later or be at 80% exactly at 6:30 when I want to go. Doesn't work. And when it comes to charging, yes, this car charges slower than the old Ioniq. Old Ioniq went up to 63 kilowatt, I think. In this car, I've seen the peak was 49 kilowatt. But I think it's okay to get to 80% or something, and some people need the range. But what is weird, I think it's something negative for me, that to open the charge port you have to press a button. I loved it in the Volkswagen e-up to just go there and open it by hand, or in the Model 3 to press it and it opens up. Way more comfortable than getting out and I have to open the charge port with a button. At least it's illuminated, there's a light in there. What's annoying, and I don't know if this is a regulation, I haven't seen it in other cars, is that LFA, that lane follow assist that keeps you within the lane and beeps at you, is always on when you start the car. You have to manually turn it off. Annoying. Also the beep when you start up the car and you don't have the seatbelt on right away, it beeps at you 5 times. If you have the seatbelt on, it doesn't do that. But I will put my seatbelt on before I drive. Can I not start the car without that? Is this such a problem? Another annoyance is when you have the ignition on, the recognition of the key. You have the key in your pocket, everything works nice, and then, for example, you park in front of your garage, get out of the car to open the garage, and it beeps at you because you have the ignition on, but the key is not inside the car, and does it the second you close the door, so you're this far away from the car. I understand what it's for, that you don't forget, but it's just way too sensitive. Maybe 3 meters, 5 meters away from the car, I can understand it. But when you just close the door and it starts beeping, and very loud inside and outside. So I have the key. Damn it! I have to bring the key in. So what I think that what's amazing about the keyless entry is to have the key in your pocket and you just do. And when something like this comes up, you have to take the key out, put it in the car, then later pick it up again. And the biggest problem with this car, and it is the same with the brother cars, e-Niro, e-Soul, Kona, why the hell don't those cars have more than one trip? What the hell is this? I want trip A and trip B at least. Trip A, the accumulated info in the car. So this one, you can reset yourself, but the drive info, it will reset itself in the morning or when you don't drive for 4 hours or something. What the hell is that? That's amazingly annoying. So many times you wanna have a whole trip over a few days maybe, and then you do little trips in between where you need the accumulated info, and then you want the drive info for the whole trip. Doesn't work. You can't do that with that car. A few days later, there's another thing I'm not a fan of. It's the haptic buttons. So these are not real buttons, and they work, it's fine, but if you're not quite on there, see that? Just a tiny bit off. Now it works. So it's a very small circle. Let's see, like this. Oh, this works better. No? Yeah, this works better. Those two. But that's it. Thank you very much for watching. Have a great day and take care. Bye.